Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Next Stop Automation, the podcast where we talk to people from the logistics industry about wins, challenges, and the future of operations. Today I'm with a matchmaker, and he specifically focused on creating the perfect match between brands and 3PL companies. Matt, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me, Constantine.
Of
Good to
course,
see you.
I cut a little bit short on the introduction side. It's Matt Fain from PopCapacity. And yeah, as briefly described, they focus on bringing together the perfect brand or the perfect 3PL, which is the third party logistics company, with brands. There's a lot of churn, and how they basically prevent this from happening is going to be explained from him directly. So yeah, would you like to introduce yourself real quick and tell us what you guys do and who your offer is especially relevant for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, thank you for having me. My name is Matt Fain. I'm the co-founder and CEO of PopCapacity. We are a warehouse procurement platform. We leverage data, virtual touring, information to ensure that brands or shippers find the right 3PL warehouse. Um, it's a very cumbersome, long tail journey to go find a very important node in the supply chain. I personally incurred that problem. So, yeah, we've developed some technology in hopes of solving the discovery and procurement journey of warehouse space.
How did this journey start for you, and how did you come up with that idea that led to the company you ultimately run today?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. It started from a pain point. So I'm a logistics transportation veteran. I worked in the brokerage industry, so I managed full truckloads and brokered freight. And then from there, I moved into more of the asset based world where I was, had trucks and not 53-foot big trucks, but we had dry vans and sprinter vans. And we were able to identify an opportunity with an existing customer who we were managing freight for to find warehouse space. So I personally took upon that journey and realized that Google was the only resource that I had. From there, it went to basically who spent the most on that ad, which wasn't necessarily the right partner. There were some unique criteria about what this customer was looking for. And in order for me to understand if that service provider was capable, it required a phone call, it required an email or a text message or a web form. In a world surrounded by technology, that process seemed kind of crazy to me. Having booked Airbnbs and ordered Uber Eats for food and Uber for taxi cabs and to get places, like it's just there was a better way. So we sought to fix that, and this is in the onset of the pandemic. So beginning of March 2020, when the entire world shut down, I decided to start a logistics tech startup. So it's been a fun, interesting, humbling journey for sure.
Sounds amazing. So you got to spend your time really usefully back home when no one was allowed to get outside. And I think it's a great chance to and a great opportunity to identify a problem and then build a solution scaling this, because usually others in that market share the same or identical problem. Now, how was the start actually going for you guys? You said it was specifically one match that was about to be created, and
Yeah,
how did
so
it follow?
that's where the story began, was with me trying to make that perfect match. So once we developed the product, came additional customers. We work with luxury mattress companies, software development companies. We work with a lot of different styles of companies, but all with one mission: finding warehouse space easily with information so they can make a better decision. And I think, all industry leaders would say that data is not going to harm them when they're making a decision, right? But in this industry, in the warehousing space specifically, it was challenging. So for the first 18 months, we did nothing more than try to find warehouse companies to join our platform. Um, we started off, I think we got up to about 60 million square foot in the United States. Um, and then organically, we started seeing network growth from a warehousing perspective. But even to this day, we're still promoting people to come to the platform, shippers and brands, come and experience something new, easier, more efficient, we're still going to do that. We haven't stopped that mission. But the beginning of the journey, I feel like any company, you make some mistakes, you get some wins, and you start really figuring out who your ICP is, what your technology is going to do, and how it's going to impact it, and kind of how you need to market yourself towards that. So it's been a very interesting journey. We bootstrapped thus far, so that makes things even a little bit more interesting. It creates good habits. It creates creative tactics and strategies. Um, but it was fun. It was interesting, but definitely humbling in the beginning.
Now, I assume that you guys actually see this whole brands and 3PLs from an outside and kind of top perspective. And you can probably, seeing all these processes, assume where problems are going to pop up, especially when looking for the perfect match. So, what is it that keeps such a high churn rate in this industry, and what mistakes do usually companies or brands do when assuming that they found the right 3PL?
That is something that we're reviewing our data and information to figure out what is the reason why companies leave warehousing groups, right? Is it pricing? Is it service? Is it a combination of both? Is it personalities? And what we're finding is that a lot of the times in the initial discovery, when you're educating yourself about a warehouse or you're learning about it, not all the information is there until you step foot in the warehouse and have a conversation with that provider. Um, so the beginning part of it is very clunky. Just understanding who is the group of people I need to talk to. That's not data enriched. That is referrals. That is trade shows and events that you meet people. That is getting a cold call and you feel like fielding it that day. So all of a sudden there's someone that you're willing to entertain and talk to. Not until it is too late do you realize that they're not a good service provider. Whether that means that you're already inbounded and there's problems upon that inbound, or you have product in there and you're reaching some volumes and velocities that they just can't handle or maybe stumble with. Um, all this information can be brought to them up front. All this information can be placed into what I believe can be placed into a technology or to a platform to then help filter through all the noise, understanding based on the data points that this supplier is a legitimate fit. Not because you decide to field that cold call one day, not because you decide to run the RFP to a bunch of referrals that you got from network buddies. It's information that led you to these providers.
So, the problem, if I figured out correctly, is the lack of data that brands usually have when they look for 3PL companies. And this is exactly how you guys solve that by collecting huge amounts of data points to create the perfect match.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, well informed decisions are made with information. Information is data. So we were just able to identify that there was a gap. There was a gap in the industry. And when every other area of the industry and transportation, truckloads and LTL and parcel, there's mounds of visibility in finding service providers. You can get live rates instantly. But in the warehousing environment, that was not it. You had to go through a process in order to get even market level rates or budgetary preliminary rates. It was still a struggle. So by enabling a platform to help cut through all the noise and make the process a little bit more efficient, gives you a little bit more information to help make that better decision, I believe.
How does the market respond to that solution you created?
I mean, the market has responded well. I think that anything new, and especially in this industry, it's got to be tested, piloted, tried and true before it gets truly adopted. But I think that any supply chain leader out there, like I said before, would not tell you that an abundant amount of data is a bad thing. Um, any supply chain leader out there would also tell you that technology is something that they're leaning in towards as they're starting to make the processes more efficient, their warehouses more optimized, their spend more optimized. That is all a technological approach to what used to be a manual process.
Mhm.
We've just taken the procurement piece, the start of finding any service provider starts with vetting, discovery, procurement. It all starts here. So let's apply the technology to the beginning of our journey. It applies in all parts upstream, optimization and spend and all the things. Let's apply it to the very beginning of you finding a service provider in hopes, going back to it, that you minimize the amount of churn, that you reduce the amount of churn because the data fed you the right solution, not just a solution.
Can you put these terms in numbers in terms of churn rates and what you guys make a difference?
So, I mean, I can give you the average churn for, a warehouse, and these are all in terms, right? Actually, you know what? It's probably hard for me to get a gauge on the percentage of churn in the industry until we go through a full analysis of the information that's in our site. But I think on average, I think it's like a 17% is somewhere I may have read somewhere down the line, 70% churn within the warehousing environment. Um, and as soon as we assess and analyze the information that we have, we might be able to show you exactly what the difference is and what the data is doing, or the technology is doing to enhance or decrease the amount of churn that we have in the industry.
So, what is the amount of return you get when creating a match on your platform?
That is a great question so far. You know what? I have this metric right here. So year to date, we have a 97.6% success rate. Um, and I lead all that to the platform, right? To the technology, doing work. I'm not a super patient individual. So when people go into the platform and sign up, I immediately want to give them a call and ask them what I can do and how I can help them and make sure and ensure that that's a win, right? Mind you, we're still bootstrapped. So every win means a lot to us. But now that we have this robust product that is self-service, self-use, I'm going to be a bit more patient to let the product actually do its work, to report more data to us, to then tell the industry by using the technology, we reduce your churn by 15%, we reduce your churn by 20%. And that's some exciting stuff coming up. The future of Pop is we've been in business for 5 years. We've collected an immense amount of data, some of which that we're giving to the industry for free. Rating metrics, capacity metrics in certain markets, all of that you can access in the platform now. The future of Pop is producing some indexes and some live reports based on live information we're getting and report that on a quarterly basis. And I think from there, you'll start really understanding data, usage, technology. It is a must have in this industry, especially if you're in the procurement side of the industry.
I would say the numbers speak for itself. It's really impressive that you clearly solved the problem here. Now, what solution or what role does technology and especially AI play in this game, and how does it help you, or how will it even help you more in the future to create the perfect match?
The role of our technology obviously is making the matches. We're getting more details upstream and downstream of that particular supply chain setup. Now we can offer consolidated service because we have the data and information to give to our service providers to offer them that availability. Now let's take that a step further. Now let's look at the actual buyers conducting these services, whether it be the warehouses who are interacting with the brand or the brand who's asking the warehouse. They have a certain buying persona. An example is social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. They've mastered the craft of understanding who we are as buyers. Whether Matt Fain is a deal guy and he has to get a deal on every single transaction in order for him to buy the product, or whether it be Constantine is a guy who's not patient. He wants to get that product in his hands right now. It doesn't matter how much it costs, right? Those are two different buying personas, but we're engaged into the platforms, i.e. social media platforms, that keeps us buying to the point where it's changed our behavior, our buying behavior. We used to walk into retail stores to go try our shoes and hats and clothes on. Right now, we feel confident that we can go buy it online or return it if it doesn't fit. It is a part of our everyday lives, and we're using technology, and the technology is using our data to give us a better experience. Whether it be the people, the services, the products that you buy, the things you're interested in, it's going to be different on everybody's feed because they mastered the craft of the buyer. Now let's look at this in the B2B perspective, right? You and I are both in the industry. We're two completely different buyers. Let's take another example. The chief supply chain officer at Nike, a chief supply chain officer at Procter and Gamble. They're both buyers of the same services. They all need trucks, they all need trailers, they all need chassis, they all need parcel, they all need warehouses. But are they the same buyer? They're not. One focuses on high volume footwear into the retail environment, right? Certain box dimensions, certain weights, large array of similar SKUs. Whereas the other is a CPG company, still focused on retail and getting into those environments, but has a wide array of different products from paper and corrugated to chemical comp, all sorts of different things that they are involved in. Two completely different buyers. So why are they being introduced to the same service providers? That is where I think the technology in the future is going to lead to, is understanding more than just surface level information that we're willing to divulge on that call. How do we understand who that person is a buyer? How do we take information, interactions in various platforms or in our platform and apply those interactions to an improved, more effective buying journey? Just how TikTok did, just how Instagram did, just how Facebook did. They've changed. Our mission at Pop is to change the way that B2B procurement is done and conducted. Right now, it's very manual, very referral driven. Look, and I am that guy. I love shaking hands and kissing babies, right? Understand the importance of the relationship in this industry. I've been in it for a long time, and I made a lot of really strong relationships by trust and forming the relationship. But I also know I've burnt a lot of time having conversations that I didn't need to have. And when you're in business and when you're, a small business, a startup, a robust big company, a fortune company, time is money and you have a limited amount of time in your day. So let's allow technology to help make things more efficient. Grab back some time, redirect focus on other areas that we can influence, not procurement, right? Let's change the way procurement's done. Let's make it more effective, more intuitive, more cognitive. And I think the industry is ready for it.
That leads to almost rethinking every other part of life where we make assumptions that can lead us to mistakes. And we usually learn from mistakes, but probably data could help us prevent this whole process of learning, making mistakes, and doing it over and over again.
That's right. That's right. And we're seeing it in practice every single day. You could not use your GPS and figure out your way to get to the grocery store, right? Or you could use your GPS and figure out the fastest, most efficient way based on traffic patterns and congestion and wrecks and accidents. They're both effective. They both work, right? And I don't think we need to replace technology in every aspect of our lives, but certainly the areas where maybe it gives us more time to be with our family, gives us more time to do the things that we enjoy to do, not picking up a phone and calling a dozen warehouses or fielding 1,000 emails to get an opportunity. Maybe there's some ways that we can optimize our time, like I'd mentioned before, to create a better lifestyle.
Now, how does that work or look like working with you? Where does that journey start? Does a brand come to you and say, like, I'm looking for something, and you make yourself on the way looking for the perfect 3PL for them? Or is it rather the other way around, that 3PLs sign up, get listed, and based on that, you find the perfect match?
Yeah, it's a good. We started off with supply. So for the 2 years that we built out just the warehouse network, we didn't call a single brand, right? We had some organic traffic. We were blessed in the beginning with some amazing customers that referred us to some other amazing customers, and that
Yeah.
allowed us to bootstrap it. Um, but we really try to um, cater towards the brands right now, right, and doing it in a digital fashion, right? Warehouses, I feel like the warehouses have an understanding that this is a better way to showcase your space and it's free until they find success. So it's a no brainer for them. And I feel like we have enough market presence where all the warehouses, or at least a large majority of them, understand the benefit of this platform, our platform. But now it's letting the brands understand it. And we started off with some of the biggest brands in the world understanding that, wow, this made my process more efficient. So now we just have to, and it's a combination of marketing and sales to get in front of more people to allow them to experience what this free platform can do for them. So hyper focused on bringing brands in, pushing them to the platform. Absolutely, if their opportunity is complex and they need something more than the digital resource, i.e., our warehouse procurement platform, we're more than happy to jump in. We understand that not everything can be processed in a platform, just how you don't book a wedding through Airbnb only. You have a person who coordinates that for you. Same type of thing. We will handle the enterprise type stuff, the customized stuff, but for the most part, the product is user friendly. So I will promote any brand, any warehouse to go to the platform. And then if it's complex, definitely reach out to one of our team members. We're always willing to jump in and help.
Now, from all the data you collect, you can probably tell and see which direction 3PL in general is developing in. And also, do you maybe see holes in the market on the supply side, which some brands probably are looking for, but they cannot really find either on your platform or outside of that?
Yeah, and we're tracking that right now. The market is somewhat soft, is what we say. So there's available capacity. We're in peak season right now, which is the holiday retail season for us. So we're seeing a lot of the capacity start to shrink. When the capacity shrinks or there's less capacity, the rates trickle up. So we're starting to track that right now. Dallas, Texas, out of all of our markets, has been the hottest market requested. And I don't know if there's any sort of reasoning behind that. That's why we're doing a deep dive further into our data to figure out if is there a trend, or is there something that we need to be looking out for that we can forecast to our ecosystem of brands and warehouses.
Yeah.
Um, but right now we are seeing the top three markets: Dallas, Texas, Southern California, which is always super hot, and Atlanta, Georgia. Those are our top three markets for opportunities coming inbound. And then things are seasonal. Water and bottled water and energy drinks is really ramps up during the summer months, and then you start seeing stuff for the holidays start coming in. So we are seeing the seasonal, typical seasonal trends. What we have seen is the domestication and distribution. So with all the crazy tariffs going on, and it's kind of unknown of what the future looks like for distributing product into the United States, we've seen a lot of people just go ahead and front load stuff, either in Canada and Mexico. Maybe they'll go ahead and establish a distribution network in the United States, assuming they're going to have to in order to conduct business here. We have slowly started to see that brands that are traditionally importing a lot of products can no longer do that. Now they're looking to put products either closer, not in the States, maybe at the border country, or go ahead and setting up a fulfillment center in the US so they don't have to worry about it, things in the future. And they can go ahead and get their forecast and financials in line based on them going ahead and executing that US distribution node.
Wow. So politics is a lot of a trend driver in this industry. And
Thank
you
you.
can definitely see that on your end of the side.
For sure. For sure. When tariffs were unknown and de minimis was in question, the amount of FTZ and bonded capacity requests went up 2,000%. And then in a matter of 2 weeks or 30 days, it was gone. And everything kind of stabilized. So I tell everybody right now, we're seeing a somewhat stable market. It's not what it was in the pandemic, and not it wasn't what it was post pandemic, but we're seeing things start to stabilize in this new environment we're living in, which is exciting because when you're coming out of chaos and kind of unknown, making a transition makes a lot of sense, and doing it with information makes even more sense. Um, so we're excited. We're excited about the future of the industry, the future of distribution and warehousing and logistics, and how we apply our technology to as much as we possibly can.
Where do you see the future for pop capacity?
I I hope that we're considered to be the status quo when it comes to third-party warehouse procurement globally. So replacing Google it with Pop It when it comes to warehousing procurement. And then we made a really big market impact in other areas of logistics, the trucking industry, small parcel, packaging, integrations and technology. There's a lot of different things that I see us being a part of because the journey of finding those services is very similar. Finding a new trucking provider, finding a new parcel provider or final mile provider, finding new packaging. All of these can be data driven decisions. They all don't have to be trade shows, referrals, phone calls. It doesn't have to be that way. So we're going to master the craft in the procurement of warehouse space. I mentioned consolidated services before. That is already something that we're doing. So we're reviewing opportunities to do pop dedicated for truckload, pop parcel for final mile and parcel delivery, pop packaging for packaging. All of the things that need to be front and center to buyers of those things or people that may be searching for it. We believe it's going to create a better buying journey, better connections, less churn. So I feel that the future of pop capacity is our technology, our algorithm applying to multiple layers in the industry, not just warehousing.
So it's about stepping in between of brands, aka customers, and other service providers they have to deal with. So you can create the perfect match all around these.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's possible, right? We're already being fed information to yield us the best warehousing results. Why would I think information and data wouldn't yield better results in other areas of the supply chain
Sure.
logistics industry? We're at least going to give it the good old college try. I think that's the saying, right? And we're having some success with it now. Um, I think there's a bit of authenticity that the industry has taken on to. We do what we say we're going to do. We didn't tell you we were going to maximize your freight spend and reduce 30%. And we told you we would find you the perfect warehouse by using the information you were willing to give us. And that's exactly what we did. And not until now are we starting to see opportunities to extend into the logistics industry, but still doing it in an authentic way. I'm not going to go sell truckload services, or the technology is not going to reference truckload services to someone who just clearly isn't looking for it or needs it. And it's only going to be a reference, right? A lot of people will refer to our platform as like a prescription type platform. We're prescribing a solution based on information that's given to you. You don't go into a doctor and they give you a medication and you haven't even told them what's wrong, right? That's a lot of times what happens in sales and logistics is everybody sells everything to you and you haven't even asked one question like, what do you actually need and what's wrong with your current situation? Um, so I want to be more prescriptive. I want to apply that type of philosophy across the entire chain.
Do you see challenges, especially looking at establishing pop capacity as the status quo? Do you see challenges
Oh
along
yeah,
this?
there, there, there was challenges starting this company. So, and this is only one small part of the industry. So I know there's going to be challenges. I think that the my journey thus far has given us enough knowledge of how and the challenges to foresee. I'm not gonna be able to forecast all of them, but I know we forecasted a lot of them. And I think the base product that we have now will eliminate a lot of the technical challenges. Um, it's built very open and elastic. So I feel like that would be, it won't be too bad, but the normal business, growing a business challenges will be there for sure.
To summarize all of that a little bit, having data and making data-based decisions is crucial when it comes to having a successful decision-making process. And you guys are very good at what you do, using that data effectively to create that perfect match. Numbers speak for itself. For someone looking to work with you on the supply or demand side of things, where can they find you?
Very easy. So go to popcapacity.com, designate whether you're a brand looking for space or a warehouse looking to showcase your space. go through the simple free sign up process and start your journey there. A member of our team will contact you and welcome you to the family and ask if you have any questions, but it is self-use. So if you're knowledgeable of the industry, we've built it. Every member of our team's from the industry. So we built it in a way where supply chain logistics pros will understand how to navigate and use it, but we are always here to help. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all the social media channels, putting little tidbits of data, information, insights, some fun facts on Friday too. So follow us on all the channels, sign up for free if you're looking, or if you're just curious and want to see what's going on. Go to pop.com, popcapacity.com, sign up, and we'll welcome you happily to the family.
Matt, thank you for being so open, taking part here. I wish you all the best for your future and success along this way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and we'll chat very soon.